Today we're going to talk about making a sea salt spray for dreadlocks. Swimming in the ocean is excellent for forming dreadlocks. You go for a little splash in the sea, you come out and your hair is all frizzy and knotty. These conditions are excellent for creating knots and for forming dreadlocks. Unfortunately, not everyone has access to the sea. If you do live somewhere where you have constant access to the ocean and you can swim regularly, that's excellent, and I'm jealous of your situation. For those out there who, like myself, do not have regular access to the ocean but still want to benefit from the sea salt, you're in luck. We can create a sea salt spray. This spray is going to give you the same effect as going in the ocean. It's going to get the sea salt in your hair. It's going to make your hairs frizzier, knottier. It's going to dry them slightly. And when the salt is on the loose hairs, it's going to increase the friction and so increase the formation of knots. When you combine all these things, you really get a kickstart for your dreadlocks, a kickstart for the maturation of your dreadlocks, and also a boost for locking in loose hairs. Sea salt spray is useful for all ages of dreadlocks, and so I'm going to show you how to create a sea salt spray, how to use it, when to use it, and I'm going to help you harness the power of the seas like Neptune. To make up some sea salt spray, you will need hot water. It doesn't need to be boiling, but it needs to be warm. The warmer the water, the faster the salt will dissolve. Which leads me on to sea salt. Obviously, with a sea salt spray, you're going to be requiring some sea salt. And to round it all off, a spray bottle for spraying your sea salt spray. Before we create the sea salt spray, I'm going to answer two of the most commonly asked questions when it comes to sea salt spray and dreadlocks. Number one, is it important that you use sea salt, or other salts going to do the same job? Other salts will do the same task. They will dry the hair, they will increase the friction, they will aid in the knotting. Sea salt is the recommended salt to use because it is the purest salt. When you buy sea salt, you're just getting sea salt. When you get rock salt, it can have other things in it. If you get just regular table salt, it often has other additives. Since dreadlocks are so prone to getting things built up in them, I would highly recommend just grabbing the sea salt. Sea salt is just as readily available as all other salts from your supermarket, and you know that everything in it is going to be completely water soluble, and you're going to be able to get it all back out again with no worries. Second most common question is, what ratio of salt to water do you need to use? And here's the thing. The ratio is not at all important. You're only using the water to transport the salt through the sprayer and onto your hair. You're not creating a fish tank for fish to live in. The ratio is really not important. The only thing that you have to make sure is that you do not put in too much salt that it clogs up your sprayer. As soon as it's sprayed onto your head, the water is going to start to evaporate and the concentration is going to go up, until it's just pure salt. So don't get caught up on the ratio. Okay, so let's make up some sea salt spray. I've got my water and I've got my sea salt. Personally, the ratio that I use is about a tablespoon of sea salt to a pint of water, which is about half a litre. As I said, it's not crucial, it's not crazy important, but this ratio is roughly the same as you get in the ocean, so I know that it's not going to clog up my sprayer. Going to combine the salt and the water and mix it up. Warmer water is going to dissolve the salt faster. Remember, if you are going to be using boiling water, be careful that you don't burn yourself, and you might want to wait before you put it into your spray bottle to avoid damaging your sprayer. Once we're all dissolved, I can put my salt water into my spray bottle. And we're good to go. Alright, so now you've got your spray, you're probably wondering what you're going to do with it. No prizes for guessing that you're going to be spraying it on your hair. Different dreadlocks are going to benefit from having it sprayed in different places. If you have really young dreadlocks, then you're going to want to maybe get it all over because you have locking to do all over the dread. If you have mature dreadlocks, then you maybe only need to apply it to the tips if you're trying to lock the tips, and to the loose frizz if you're trying to encourage the loose frizz to lock up. You're going to want to avoid your eyes, obviously, salt, and your scalp. Salt left on the scalp can become rather irritating if it's left to build up and in any considerable quantity. When to apply it is going to depend entirely on your particular set of circumstances, your particular hair and location, because the salt can be very drying. It can dry out the hair. So first off, if you already have particularly damaged or dry hair, saltwater spray may be something that you want to avoid because you don't want to dry it and possibly damage it anymore. The longer you leave the salt on the hair, the more drying it can do. I really think it is better to leave it on for multiple short periods of time rather than cake your hair in it and leave it on for a really long period. My advice definitely for starting out with the spray is definitely to only apply it on a day that you're going to wash your hair. Even if it's only like an hour before you wash your hair, you're still going to get some benefits, but also reduce any risks of too much drying and any irritation. Some people like to apply the spray on the day that you're starting the dreadlocks, so if you apply the spray before you back comb or before you twist and rip, it will increase the effectiveness of the back comb or the twist and rip. But the risk there is that because you can't wash your hair for a number of days after the starting, then that salt can be left on for a long period of time and there's risks of drying the hair too much. And also if you get too much salt on the scalp, it can become very irritating, and because you can't wash your hair for a number of days, you're kind of stuck with it and it's definitely not pleasant. So I recommend, at least when you're first starting it, to use it on your washing day. Once you start to get a little bit more comfortable with it, once you know what you're doing and where you're applying it and get used to how much salt you're applying, you know, the ratio of your mixture, the number of sprays, then you're free to play with it as you wish. I mean, it's only salt, but remember, it can dry and damage the hair if you're not careful. Pros and cons of sea salt spray. Obviously a big pro is that it is very cheap. You buy one bottle for a few pounds, a few dollars, and it will last forever unless you destroy it. You buy some sea salt, that only costs a few pounds, a few dollars. A box of sea salt is going to last you a really long time. This means that it is a lot cheaper than other locking accelerators that you can buy, and it will do pretty much the same job. You know exactly what you're putting in, so you know exactly what's going on in your hair, and you know all of it is water soluble. It can be useful for all ages of dreadlocks, so whether you have brand new dreadlocks or mature dreadlocks, it can help with locking up various parts of the dread that otherwise may be a bit slow to go. Cons: salt can be very drying if left in for long periods of time, especially if you live in a dry environment or you have hair that is already a little bit on the dry side. There is a delicate balance between having hair that's on the dry side, so good for locking, and hair that's on the straw side and good for setting on fire and falling out and not being at all healthy and good. So be careful. Salt can also be very drying and irritating if it's left on your scalp in any considerable quantity. So that's another reason why you would want to try it out on a day that you know you're going to be able to wash the hair, because if it does start to become irritating, you know that you'll be able to wash it off. You also don't have any control over where the knotting goes on, so in the same way as the wool rubbing is going to make everything more knotty, the salt water spray is going to make everything more knotty. So while it may knot up things that you want to knot up, it can also knot multiple dreads together, so it can increase the amount of separating that you have to do. Few extra things to note: some people like to mix some essential oils in with their spray. The essential oils have added benefits depending on which oil you're using, but because it's an oil, it can also be lubricating for the hairs. So while this is a bonus if you have dry hair and you want to add some moisture, I mean if you have super dry hair you wouldn't be using salt anyway, but it can balance out the drying effect of the spray, but it will also reduce the effectiveness of the spray, so it's something that you have to decide on, you know, what you're trying to get out of the spray. An alternative is to add the raw ingredient straight to the spray, and by that I mean if you're using lavender, you can add lavender straight to your spray bottle and get the scent of lavender without having any extra oil added. Another thing that some people like to add is lemon juice. Lemon juice is also going to dry the hair out. It can be extremely drying if left in for long periods of time. So again, if you're trying to avoid extra dryness, lemon juice is something that you would probably want to leave out. And even if you're not particularly trying to avoid extra dryness, if you're using lemon juice, you're going to really want to watch and make sure that you're in control of how dry your hair is getting. An added bonus of the lemon juice is if you spray it on and then go out in the sun, it can increase the effect of sun bleaching on the dreads, so it can lighten your dreadlocks in color. So there we go, that's my video on sea salt spray. Remember that sea salt spray is only something for helping the dreadlocks. It is no day and night super quick instant dreadlock creator. It's just going to increase the knotting and help the dreadlocks along. Please be responsible with it. I know that it's only salt, so it's not super scary. You may think, oh, it's just sea salt, I mean, what's it gonna do? But it can be drying and therefore dangerous to the dreadlocks if you just cake it on the dreadlocks, set it and forget it, and then, you know, you turn around and your dreadlocks are kind of completely dried out, and that's not good. So like all things with the dreadlocks, you're going to want to only use it in moderation. Remember, the dreadlocks are a long process. Don't get impatient and just keep spraying until you see results. Dreadlocks are slow and require a lot of time and patience. That is my video on sea salt spray for dreadlocks. If you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. If it was helpful, let me know. Thumbs it up. If you have any questions regarding sea salt spray, dreadlocks in general, myself in general, feel free to contact me via the comment section here, via Twitter at twitter.com/lazy_dreads, or you can join the Facebook page at facebook.com/lazydreads. If you'd like to see more videos from me in the future, feel free to subscribe and then you'll get all my new videos as they are released. I hope you found this video helpful, informative, useful in some way. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you again soon. Farewell!